welcome back to The Spark is Love. We have Meet the Experts guest today, Courtney Mansbridge, and she is joining us from Alberta, Canada. Welcome, our Canadian nurse. Love it. Love having you here. Love your content on LinkedIn. You are on fire for nurses. You are honoring our past nurses who really did not get the spotlight like they needed or deserve. And you're bringing it, you're giving them the light and that they deserve in 2025. So I'm so happy to have you here. You're dabbling, you're in entrepreneurship, AI, your mom, you're a nurse, you're all the things, you do all the things.
Why not? Yeah, throw it all in. Yep.
Throw it all in. So we get to see a little bit of your brilliance. I prepared some rapid fire questions to ask you. So let's get to it. If you could go back to your student nurse days, what one piece of advice would you give to your younger self?
I feel like I would, in a way, I feel like I want to tell myself that grades don't matter. That as much as you think that you got to get A's and all this stuff, grades do not matter in the grand scheme of things, because truly the way that you're getting tested isn't indicative of the things that you're going to do, right? Exams are not indicative of how you're going to operate as a nurse and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's probably what I would say. I mean, there's probably lots of other things like, don't worry if you might get bullied, sadly, there's a lot, but I think that I would probably focus on that. And probably because I'm an instructor now and what I think about with my students, and just say, like, unfortunately, that's how you get into nursing schools, like getting into your BN, but it doesn't matter. Like a grade doesn't matter.
Grade doesn't matter. What area of healthcare, if transformed, would create the biggest global impact?
See, so there's two folds to that, because I feel like on the one side, with the one business I have, which is Compathia and communication and like those soft skills, which I'm going to call life skills because I feel like it's a better term, but I feel like if that could be better, if those skills would be emphasized more, then I feel like our nursing healthcare would be a lot, just overall, it would be a better experience. The other side, though, that I feel is that being inclusive, being understanding that everybody is a human being, we all have different needs, and allowing people to thrive by giving them the things that they need and not necessarily holding back, even though you think that if you give to one person that everyone's going to need it. No, just realize that everybody needs what they need and they deserve it.
Ooh, deep, very deep.
Two different sides, right? Yeah.
No, we do. We think if we give to one, everybody was going to want it. Not everybody wants or needs it.
Correct.
Looking at trailblazing nurses who've paved the way, what's one quality that you think nurses today should emulate? You've talked about a lot of nurses.
I have. I honestly feel like the thing that I gather from most of the nurses that I do kind of showcase is that, to be honest, the way that I've pulled these nurses is I've pulled them with whether they've been inclusive in some way in history, or they've utilized, like they've upheld those life skills. And I think that what I see from majority of them is that if you see a problem, do something to fix it. Don't just sit by and think, oh, it'll fix itself. If I've learned anything from all of the nurses so far, is that they didn't just sit by and were like, meh, it's fine. They've all done something to change healthcare, to change what they do in their profession. And so I think that is the biggest takeaway, is like, if you see a problem, don't just assume that it'll get fixed. Do something to try and fix it. Even if you get told no, keep working at it if it's something that you really think is important.
Powerful, Courtney, powerful. In one sentence, how do you see AI reshaping the nursing profession?
I laugh because I'm like, do I go on the negative and be very pessimistic about it? Or do I go on the side of like,
you're using it for good.
I am. I think that the way that AI can shape our careers is that a sentence would be, if we utilize AI and actually see it for what it is, then we can be better overall as nurses.
Okay. I'll take that. I'll take
right?
that sentence.
I mean, I could go on, but that's you. I'll stick to the one sentence.
Okay. And you know what? Our viewers, they're probably like, what is she doing in AI? Go on.
I mean, I'm happy to just right,
Connect.
like I can
I
give
want
it.
them to connect with you. I want them to go find and
Oh,
what
okay.
you're doing.
I'm all for
And I
that.
want
Yeah,
them to ask you. We're promoting connections here.
I like it. Please do. Yes, find me.
Yes. What's your message to nurses who want to take the lead in shaping AI so that it serves us, not hinders us? Like the EHR systems they created,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
supposed to be helpful, but it really, you know,
It's
ties.
awful.
Yes. So what can we do that we don't do that with AI?
Honestly, I think that a barrier as a whole, and not just for AI, but just generally, is that even as human beings, it's like, oh, something's different. No, if we don't know it, we don't want to touch it, right? And
Yes.
so for me, AI has come in, and it was still around before I really started to get into it, but it was like, this is like once you actually start to utilize it and learn about it, it's actually amazing. And I feel like a lot of people, especially nurses, are just their brain is so focused on like, what's the legalities around it, right? Like what's the FOIP and all of those aspects. And for me, I'm like, I'm not saying I don't care about those, but at the same time, I'm also saying, like, if this is going to make my life easier, I'm going to try it out, right?
Yes.
And so I think that for me as a whole, I am all about learning, right? I don't necessarily need to go back to school and get a master's to learn. That's not what I mean by learning. I mean, like, just going out there doing and learning. It can be overwhelming, but at the same time, what you end up getting is phenomenal. And I think that you also have to think of the future aspect of, like, it seems overwhelming right now, but honestly, within a year span of time, I have started 2 businesses and I've learned about AI, and I've done so much in such a short span of time that in reality, it doesn't take a ton of your efforts. Like, you can even spend time during the evenings just to look into it versus watching a TV show, right?
Yes, absolutely. I love it. Now, as a mom of kids, how do you hope your children will remember the work that you're doing right now?
I really hope that they see that I didn't just let things go, and not in a bad way, but like that I saw a problem and then I wanted to fix it, that I wanted to make a difference in the world. And so I did what I thought was best in order to try and make that difference. And so I didn't just sit back and let it be. I put myself out there. I networked. I found people. I found, Timmy, who I'm working with Compath. Like, I found all these people because I knew that there was more out there than just what was there. And so, yeah, I really want them to see that if they see a challenge, just to try and find a solution, right?
This is so precious. I'm just seeing 20 years from now, our kids are going to look back and say, oh, look at mom.
One can hope. Hopefully in 20 years. I don't know in teenagers if they're going to feel like that. I'm not there yet, but
yeah,
maybe when they're adults, they'll be like, yes.
They're going to make the world a better place. Hey, if you had to have one impactful statement to pitch AI in nursing to 100 healthcare executives, what would it be?
Oh my God. Oh, it's a good question. Pitch AI in nursing. I would say,
well, I should say in nursing education, because that's the realm you're in.
That's where I am. I mean, the business, and I feel like the businesses that I have, especially Compathia, that's one of the areas that we would, try to branch into. Mm-hmm. So I would say that if I were to talk to executives, nurses, whatever, I would say, don't fear what you don't know. Try it out. See what is possible when you actually try something new. These are problems. Life skills are problems that we've had for a really long time. And as an instructor, I can say that it is extremely difficult to teach them. Mm-hmm. And so if there's a technology that we have that's at our fingertips that we can use to actually teach them and prepare nurses in the best possible way to go and be in the profession, and maybe even potentially reduce retention challenges, why wouldn't you try it?
Why would you try it? I love it. I love it. How do you think leaders can create environments that truly support a neurodivergent team?
Listening would be one of them, probably. Sorry, I get really animated because this is just how my brain thinks. So I'm just like, I don't know, pretty easy ways, right? Like listen. So my philosophy and what I think about when I think of, regardless of its neurodivergence or anything, but we can kind of start on that. But like as a whole, being inclusive is that you need to come in with the thought process of being curious. You need to be wondering what's going on, not just instantly be like, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, and there's no, change to that. No, think about like what's going on with them and ask questions. Find out what's going on. And then, is there really, like, what is the underlying reason if you were to say no? Be transparent. So I think that the best ways that you can help individuals on your team that are neurodivergent, because I'll be honest, there's a ton, I'm sure, on almost every team, is be curious, be supportive, validate, and be transparent. Because, I think it's funny that a lot of leaders just think like, oh, I can't tell them that because they don't need to know about that, because if it doesn't happen, I'll tell you 9 times out of 10, people want to know because they feel included then. And they don't get sidelined when something randomly does happen. It's like, well, why didn't you tell us about this however long ago?
Yes.
So yeah, that's how I feel. And realize too that people, if they do ask, for example, for an accommodation, it doesn't even have to be like a legitimate, like, as in the sense of like, maybe there's not even paperwork. Maybe they're just asking for like, hey, I could use this. Take it for what it is. Don't take it as like everybody under the sun's going to ask for it. Take it as that one human being is asking for something because that's what they need to work better. And maybe see how it goes and see how much better that they do.
Usually what we tend to generalize. So we say, if one person's asking for it, I'm going to tell them no, because then everybody's going to be asking for this. And you just shut down what only one person wanted or needed.
That's right. And that's the problem, is people assume, and human beings are terrible at assumptions. Like, I'm sorry, most humans are bad at assuming. And so it's better to be curious than assume. And then you potentially have people on your team that want to stay because they're like, okay, my managers, my leaders, they care about who I am. They want to listen to me. I'm not just a person that can be replaced.
This question is coming through to me, and I'm just going to ask you.
Yeah.
What has been your most challenging experience in healthcare?
There's been numerous. And sadly, it's not even been with the patients or the clients. But the most challenging experience that I've had is truly being bullied. And the crappy aspect of it was like, not only by the nurses on the team, that's one terrible way to get bullied, but then when you take it to management and you get bullied by management, it's a whole other ball game that I literally wish upon no one, because the stress and the emotions and all of what goes into it, and the fact that you really, I mean, yes, I had a union, whatever, but the fact that I was it made me feel like I was less than. It made me feel like I was wrong. I was really mentally sick, and nobody cared that in that sense. It was just kind of like, well, Courtney's not doing her job, so sucks, right? That was probably, honestly, the worst experience I've had thus far in my career.
No, this is very interesting that this is coming through, and I'm happy that I asked. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing. I think bullying is something that is very. It may not be called bullying. It may be called, this is what we're about to do, and you just have to accept it, or you are being defiant or rebelling against what we want to do. So it's not called bullying, but it is bullying. It is bullying for every sense of the word. What does a bully look like in a executive or a corporate leadership role? What could you just share with some of our younger nurses or newer nurses what that looks like?
Yeah. I mean, to me, like, what I've experienced is that when you, for example, you said rebelling, right? Which is me in all the senses. I do. maybe it's not as much rebelling anymore. I used to, but I think for me, more of like when I see something that I don't think is okay, I talk about it. Like I don't just let it sit. I want to have an explanation about it. And most managers don't like that, especially depending on how you handle it. And you know what? I've refined a lot in my years, but like, you know, at the time, maybe I wasn't as refined. Either way. So the way that I have seen it is being dismissive, right? Being, how do I want to put it? Being, again, not curious, but making it seem like you're doing something wrong, right? They're nitpicking on everything that you do. That's the way I'll explain it. So like if you've said something in a meeting, instead of, again, asking a question or saying like you've done, like that's a great idea, either ignoring it or saying something negative against it, or it's the tone, right? That can be one way. I mean, mine was blatant. Like I basically was told to go sit at my desk instead of talking to my colleagues. I was called into a meeting and berated by both managers about the fact of like what I dress like all the things. I got my personal text messages read in a meeting, like in a meeting that was to tell me that I'm not doing well, right? Like I'm not doing my job. And they pulled out personal text messages that I sent to colleagues. Like it can be very subtle, but it can also be that intense. I mean, I've had managers that were very, like they micromanage. That's another way that bullying kind of comes into play, right? Like watching your every move. I'm sorry, I'm an adult. I have a degree. I am personally not needing to be watched, but they don't take that. They think that, you know, well, you're not doing your job. But what if I actually just do my job in a quicker manner? Like, what if I'm just more efficient than other people? So I have to be micromanaged because I'm efficient and other people aren't? Like, so yeah, I think that there are ways that it comes across. Sometimes it's subtle though. And like, it's just putting you down your ideas, right? Not acknowledging what you do, not talking to you, even not checking in. And when you do get checked in on, it's like, oh, well, these are the things you need to work on. How do you even know who I am? You don't even talk to me. So yeah, I think that for new nurses that they really have to be aware of how they get treated. And if it feels icky, like if they feel like it's like, this doesn't seem right, it's probably because maybe it's not even bullying at that point, but it's not okay. It's not okay behavior. So if that's happening, question it.
I frequently, I know sometimes, so I identify myself as a contrarian thought, like I have contrarian thoughts. And then sometimes the contrarian thought could come across as a rebel. And, you know, when you get labeled as a rebel, people kind of have like the red flag on you, like, oh, this person's very different, you know?
Yep.
What would you say, because we're at a stage where healthcare is in desperate need of innovation, and you need people who are seeing things from a different standpoint. You need people who are thinking critically, which is often in opposition to some of the ideas that are presented. And you also need people who can work efficiently and say, why are we doing 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 when we could do 2 × 2, you know? So, and I think a lot, I'm a millennial. You look like you're a millennial.
I am a millennial too, yeah.
I think we have this generational angst that's coming up with the current leaders, and there should be a passing of the torch within nursing, because there's a lot more of them who are going to retire and a lot less of us. So we have to think efficiently. We have to think in ways that, you know, we're not gonna die with our boots on, like working 40 years at a company. We have to think very differently. So what are some ways you would recommend, especially someone who is in education, to help smooth, should I say, help, you know, this changing of the guard happen, where younger nurses don't feel like they're bullied and they have to, you know, and older nurses can really pass on, you know, and honor, just like how you're honor the legacy of nursing, and really pour in where there is not this friction here. It's kind of a little question, but
No, I mean, it is, but that's totally fair. I love it. I think that, I mean, to start off, hopefully the nurses, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. What I will say is this. I feel like I can go all different ways, but what I'll say is this. When I started in my job, I've been there a couple years now, and I started teaching how I was taught. And I didn't think about it this way, but then because I was like, well, in nursing school, this stuff wouldn't fly. I couldn't hand in papers like this. I'd be chastised. Yay. And I talked to another instructor, not a nurse, but another instructor where I work. And he said, we teach how we were taught. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of held on to that. And I thought, okay, well, I don't want to teach how I was taught. Mm-hmm. I'm going to teach differently. And so that's kind of where my mentality was of how I started to change how I teach. Because I really thought about it. I was like, students are there, they pay, they come. Let's be honest, even if they cheated, what do we care if they cheat? Like, truly, what do we care if they cheat? If they cheat to get through nursing school, it's their license in the long grand scheme of things, right? So my brain is really, like, I've really evolved and changed how I think about things. And I think, like, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be rules, don't get me wrong, but I really think that you got to pick your battles. Like, kids have been cheating for eons, right? So, like, focusing on that, to me, doesn't make sense. Focusing on, like, okay, well, if they're cheating in exams, why don't we switch the way that we test, not do exams and do something completely different so that maybe we can reduce that possibility and test them on things, do actual, like, role plays or do things that they have to physically do or speak so that you can test them in a way that it's almost impossible to cheat and they have to actually just know what they're doing, right? So that's where my brain goes just generally, because the thing is, for example, if students can't do an exam because they're sick, lots of times instructors are like, well, that's ridiculous. Like, you have to show up. Like, when we were in school, it was like, if I'm not dying, I'm showing up for an exam. That is not okay. I can tell you now, I have talked to students that fail exams, and I actually have a conversation with them to say, hey, what was going on with you the day that you wrote your exam? Almost every single one of them, something in their lives was happening seriously enough that they could not write they shouldn't have written the exam. Mm. So it just goes to show, really, it comes down to, like, we need to be empathetic. We need to be understanding, again, that these are also human beings. If we nurture them in nursing school, when they go out into the field, hopefully they can, this is going to sound ridiculous, hopefully they can see that it's not horrible, but that's the problem. If we don't get them to change before they get into the profession, we're just going to keep breeding nurses that are going to eat their young. We're going to keep breeding nurses that keep treating each other poorly, right? Even as a nurse, when they're in the profession, again, do you think that you should be a mentor and treat them how you were mentored? No. If you were mentored poorly, do the opposite.
You bring some salient points. This one, I just want to say, and this is but I've never cheated a day in my life because I think it's counterproductive. But this is just a way that I think millennials are thinking or have to think differently. So I'm just going to share it. So before, when we grew up, you never cheat on a test. You're not supposed to cheat. But when you get into the business world, when you go out, when you have a problem, you are looking for other people to be able to source and help you and collaborate. And it's so it's like you have to go against, hey, you're not cheating. Like, for my job, I literally help nurses. So I go in and say, are you doing your work? And then I get that where they're like, well, could you help me with this? But I don't want you tell me too much because, this is my work, And it's like, we get that because you're not supposed to share. You're supposed to find the answer yourself. And now we have so much information, you actually want to collaborate and say, let's find it together quickly and solve the problem.
Well, that's the problem, is we've bred silos. We've literally nurtured silos in our profession because we didn't think we should work together. And the thing is if we don't work together, then problems happen. Yeah. Even as being an entrepreneur, right? Like, the fact of starting a business, I was like, I don't want to do this by myself. Like, I want to find people to help me to do it together, because you could be having a business and I'm like, but our businesses could work together. Like, we could help each other find clients and all these things. Yes. two heads are always better than one. Like, why would you want to do it? And I know, and when I say this, I know that there are people that's just the way that they operate, and great. If that's them, go to town.
Yeah.
But that is not me. And I feel like that's a lot of the human population does like to work with others. And so it's not scary. And we do them a disservice by not teaching them how to be in a group. We give them group work and it's like, here, be in a group.
Yes.
Don't tell you how to be in a group. And usually it's like, okay, well, we've got 6 questions. There's 6 of us. Each one of you take a question. Yeah. That is not cohesive in the slightest. That is you just literally taking this randomly and working on your own. You kind of try to come into the group and I can see instantly, like, you did not work together. Yeah. Very obvious.
Yes, and then you go into nursing or healthcare, and you have to work together. You do well when you work together than when you work by yourself.
Yeah, but you haven't gotten the tools. Again, it's all about the tools. In school, a lot of the tools that we're teaching are like how to do a nursing skill of like how to put in an IV, how to do this, right? Like we need to completely pivot with how we teach nurses. You can teach. And this is going to sound really degrading, but it's true. You can teach putting in an IV to a monkey, like really, right? Like it's not a complex task in reality. Behind the reason why you're doing it, yes, that can be complex, right? But the actual like putting in the IV, I always give an IV because I'm always like, if I were to have to teach it to my students, I would have to reteach myself because I haven't put in an IV since I was in school, which was over 14 years ago. So, right? Like it's one of those things that when I think about it, it's like there are more important things that we need to be teaching. And you asked me about AI, and the reason I was like, I shouldn't be pessimistic about it. But my issue is like, if we really don't get on board with this stuff and start doing the right things when it comes to teaching, I'm truly fearful of what our roles will be eventually. Like I feel AI could take over a lot of our roles, even though we say it won't. Like it's very smart. Right. And so if it keeps being capable of learning things without us even having to input it, what's to say it can't do those things? Right. So if we're going to be smart about it, we need to be ensuring that the human beings that are doing these things are capable.
And this is, and I'm just sharing this is just my thoughts on AI. That's exactly why I want AI to come, because I feel as though the world has measured intelligence and smartness by intellect, and it has really taken a lot away from the beingness of people. And I think the beingness of nursing is what makes nursing an art. And if you get all of this stuff that makes people feel like, oh, well, I know all these labs and I know this and I know what this calculation and this function. Okay, let a computer do all of that, because I'm not racing against computer, but there are things that I could do that a computer will never be able to do. And that's being with you. That's holding you. That's being able to intuit and see, okay, now how do I take all of this information and explain it? Like, because you are the head of this household, you are a man and you don't know how to read and you don't have understanding, but I still have to honor your ego and your dignity. And now I have to tell you like, and treat you like you're the smartest person in the world. Yeah. And I just figured this out for you, but now I'm going to present this to you. Like, there are so many skills that we do as nurses that, oh my gosh, it's by golly genius, but it does not come across on pay. It does not come across in value. It does not come across in credibility because the way we measure intelligence.
Agreed. Can you do an exam, right? Can you pass an exam? There you go.
There you go. And some of the best nurses, they might not be able to pass some of these exams.
Exactly. And that's the reason that having these types of testing ways doesn't show anything. It doesn't show that you're capable. It could show that you're really book smart, but book smart isn't a nurse. No. Right? And I agree with everything you just said. Like I 100% agree. I think that fortunately and unfortunately, information is cheap now. It comes literally at your fingertips within seconds. It is not information that we need to be able to regurgitate. Mm-hmm. It is, we need to be able to showcase, like you said, being able to be with a human being, being able to show that side of humanness, right? Mm-hmm. Being able to listen to somebody and just understand where they're coming from, be empathetic, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
those are the things that are almost, they're so hard to teach that is the reason that AI can help with it, right?
So if somebody's been listening, if we're about 30 minutes, if they've been listening to us for this long, now they deserve to hear what compassion is about. Tell us what life skills are about. Tell us what you mean when you say life skills. Tell us what compassion can do.
Okay, well, basically what I see life skills is like I said, I really don't like the term soft skills. I actually find it to be very demeaning for what it actually is, right? I think that what those skills are what we need to be as humans, right? Not just as nurses, but just as human beings. Empathy, active listening, like building that therapeutic relationship, right? So I think that it's so important that we have those skills under our belt, but being able to get those skills there is like a work in progress, right? Most students, if they had a life before they went into nursing school, some of them have it more than others. But a lot of times they're just coming right out of high school and they don't always have those skills. So how do you learn them? Well, I'm telling you right now that role play is great, but it only goes so far. Not everybody gets involved in role play. How do you learn if you don't do, especially these skills? And so the whole idea with Compathia is that it is an AI trainer to teach those skills. So you actually have what we've called them personas and you talk to them. And so you literally, like you and I are having a conversation, that's how you would be talking to these personas. You're not typing, you're actually having a back and forth conversation to say like, hey, how's it going? What can I do? Blah, 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 blah. And then once you're done, there's an evaluation that will spit out to say like, this is what you did well. This is what you maybe need to work on. And like nothing, it's not all completely tweaked out yet, but the idea will be that it will give you ideas of like what you can do differently, how you can help, what do you need to work on to help build those skills, right? Like what I'll say is there are other trainers out there that are doing it. Like we're not the first ones, but we're both nurses that came into this. We both have mental health backgrounds. And so the idea is that, you know, some of the personas that we're creating are like a mental health one, a mental health component. We've created like an empathy trainer. So it's more focused on like those life skills of like empathy and active listening and that piece. We also want to do like a suicide prevention one and a de-escalation one. And then there's so many more ideas that we have, but that's kind of the idea behind it, right? And the reason that I even came up with this is I used it in class, not this one, but I used one. And I was like, this is unbelievable. Like the fact that you can talk and work through this stuff, mind-blowing, right? And you know, the person that product is, they decided to go into law enforcement. And I was like, well, that's kind of crappy. And so this was still a year ago, and like it's advanced so much in a year, but like at that point I was like, well, that seems unfortunate. And so I was talking, I found Timmy on LinkedIn and we just chatted, and then all of a sudden I came up with the idea of like creating one, and I was like, hey, so do you want to do this with me? And his background, yes, is mental health, but he's in informatics, he's in AI, like more than me, like he's creating things with AI. And so he said, yeah. And so we finally like created the product now. And so we're testing and yeah, we're just trying to see where we can go with it. But I'm excited because I think that it's a really great tool.
Yes, yes. And you're going to go far. And you know, I am here as a cheerleader. I'm cheering my nurses on. I'm just cheering. I'm cheering the underdogs on. I'm cheering the people who really are the experts, who do the work, who've been there from time and time again. But I really believe what's about to happen is that the people who have been in the background are going to soar in the coming years. And I really want to have you and all these beautiful people on as you grow, because I want to hear from you. I want to hear not what you produce, but who you are. Who are the people behind this technology, behind these products and services? And I'm just so grateful that you were on today. And let me ask you 50 million questions.
I love it. No, and I really appreciate, you know, what you're doing and trying to highlight the voices of nurses, right? I mean, I put a post out every Friday on LinkedIn about nurses in history, but I think that we also have to honor the ones that are like trying to make a difference right now. I like if we're going to honor the ones from the past, which we do a poor job already, why not start? I mean, and we do, right? Like nurses that I've been showcasing, like I didn't know half of them.
Yes.
But in that sense, okay, well, we have the ability to showcase and highlight what we as nurses are doing right now. Let's uplift our profession and show that we're more than just these like second-class citizens to doctors, right? Like we are capable of a ton and we need to show it. And to be honest, it's taken me this last year to really be okay with it and come into my own to say like, okay, we actually are really way more capable than even I thought. I'd been thinking I wanted to leave nursing for forever. Like, honestly, I really did not want to be a nurse because of how I've been treated and all of the things. But now I'm like, okay, you know what? I see it in a totally different light. And I'm actually excited to try and uplift nurses, you know, as long as nurses are willing to kind of change and do that. I mean, even if they're not, I'm still going to do it. But I would appreciate that they are more recognized. And just the nurses that I've already found on LinkedIn and you and I mean, I can see that the needle's starting to change.
It is. And I'm going to showcase it.
I love it.
Oh, Courtney, you are such a pleasure. You will be back. You will be back.
Oh, okay. I love it. I'm all for it. I will come back.
Awesome. Well, audience, I have asked Courtney all of my questions. Now it's your turn. What questions do you have for Courtney on nursing education, on AI development, on connecting with her because she is so cool? I am always so happy to have a nurse from Canada on because you guys have a completely different healthcare system. And you guys are also in the same boat of trying to transform and improve healthcare. So this shows that it's not just local to wherever we are. This is a global problem. And as nurses on LinkedIn, we are united and we are global. So thank you so much for being here. If you have comments, thank you for joining. Thank you for leaving a comment. Please subscribe to the channel. Please connect with Courtney. Check out her product. And we will see you next week, Sunday at 4 p.m. right here on Meet the Experts. Thank you so much. Thank you, Courtney. And we'll see you